Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, Vice President Kamala Harris swings through Wisconsin while former President Donald Trump campaigns in New York. And it is a problem in many rural areas, access to high-speed internet. We'll hear from one woman who has to drive to local restaurants just to use her phone or computer.
And another beautiful day across eastern Kentucky with temperatures in the 50s and 60s, and the warming trend continues. Details in a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Vice President Kamala Harris is holding back-to-back rallies in the battleground state of Wisconsin, and she's campaigning with billionaire Mark Cuban, visiting a college business class. Former President Donald Trump is on the stump in New York. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest on the campaign from the White House.
Vice President Kamala Harris is on a swing through Wisconsin, where the presidential race is considered a toss-up. She started with a stop at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as her campaign tries to turn out the youth vote.
Now, since we're getting older and we're looking to buy houses, I feel like the economy is a big reason why I'm voting for who I'm voting.
Former President Donald Trump stopped by a barber shop in the Bronx this afternoon with a large security detail. Tonight, Trump appears at the Al Smith dinner to raise money for Catholic charities, a tradition for presidential candidates. Harris will give pre-taped remarks as her campaign says she's focused on being in the battleground states. Trump's running mate campaigned in Pittsburgh this afternoon, making a play for energy-minded voters in western Pennsylvania.
Between West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, we've got enough coal and natural gas to power a golden age of American prosperity.
In North Carolina, another key battleground, early in-person voting kicked off with dedicated voters in Asheville, undeterred by the hurricane devastation.
It's a civic duty to vote. We've got to start taking it more seriously than we have in the past.
Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, is campaigning in Durham today alongside former President Bill Clinton. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Walz is also hosting a rally this evening in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Well, as Natalie mentioned, early voting has begun in North Carolina. In Charlotte, voters lined up outside the North Gate at Bank of America Stadium as early as 8 this morning. In Burnsville, one man says despite everything that has happened because of the hurricane, he is going to vote at all costs.
We would like to early vote if we can get in. If we can't get in, we will get in eventually. Right. And people will bring us in. If we don't have the vehicles, we might need an all-terrain vehicle, but we will get in to vote.
More than 300 people have died as a result of Hurricane Helene. At least 95 of those deaths were in North Carolina. The CDC says there is a decline in overdoses in the United States, and since the opioid epidemic is closely connected to controversial border policies, both presidential candidates have taken strong stances on the issue. There have been far less drug overdoses throughout the country than in previous years, but an average of 100,000 people still die every year, according to the CDC. There's no denying the problem, but both candidates have different approaches to a possible solution.
I told you about this phenomena. It's called migrant crime. It's a new category of crime, and it's probably the most vicious crime of all.
Donald Trump cares more about scaring people, creating fear, running on a problem, instead of what real leaders do, which is to participate in fixing problems.
The National Survey on Drug Use and Health reports at least 48.5 million Americans are struggling with addiction. With few swing voters in the presidential election, both candidates need to turn out their base to win the White House. Key voter demographics are shifting from the past few election cycles. George Washington University's political science director says Harris is underperforming President Biden's metrics when it comes to minorities. But Harris is polling better with women than Biden did 4 years ago.
Particularly suburban women. And that's why we've seen Donald Trump go out and try to do a women-only type of question and answer that he did. There's a lot of women for whom the issue of abortion is a primary driving issue for them.
Harris is also trying to win over moderate Republican voters, campaigning with former GOP Representative Liz Cheney and appearing on Fox News. An independent panel of former law enforcement officials lambasted the Secret Service for its handling of security at a Trump campaign rally during the summer. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas appointed them to review the agency's role in the security failures leading up to that assassination attempt. The panel says the Secret Service has become more complacent and static, even though risks have multiplied. A grand jury has indicted both a father and son on murder charges in a mass shooting at a high school in Georgia. The Barrow County grand jury reportedly indicted Colt Gray on a total of 55 counts, including 4 counts of malice murder. Grand jurors formally charged his father, Colin Gray, with 29 counts, including second-degree murder. 4 people, including 2 students and 2 teachers, were killed in a shooting at Appalachia High School last month. The Israeli military says it has killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in an operation in the southern Gaza Strip. Troops appeared to have run across him in a battle, only to discover afterwards that a body in the rubble was the man Israel has hunted for more than a year. Israel confirmed Sinwar's death after conducting DNA tests. A foreign minister called his killing a, quote, military and moral achievement for the Israeli army.
We have another frost advisory in effect for the majority of the WYMT viewing area that starts at midnight. Here's the latest. Frost advisory begins at midnight, goes until 10 a.m. for the majority of the WYMT viewing area, as overnight lows will hover between 33 to 36 degrees. Temperatures this morning in the 20s and 30s. Moorhead, it says 54. The thing about the Moorhead sensor is it went down yesterday, so it didn't get the full diurnal cycle, if you will, so it stopped at 54, so that's not correct. Everybody else, though, woke up to temperatures in the 20s and 30s, and right now, look at this in Breathitt County, a beautiful evening out there with plenty of sunshine and temperatures right now in the 50s, even low 60s. Irvine, Manchester, London, Somerset, Monticello, Middlesboro, Harlan, Jonesville, seeing temperatures in the 60s. Everybody else seeing temperatures in the upper 50s, low 50s towards Wise as well as Grundy. We'll see clear skies as we go throughout the evening hours. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 40s by the midnight time frame, and the mid to upper 30s by 6 a.m. When you wake up in the morning, there you go. Temperatures will be in the 30s and 40s, upper 20s towards Manchester as well as Monticello. And the warming trend continues. The question is, how warm will we go? I'll have the answer in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. Many people are still trying to bounce back from the devastation of both hurricanes Milton and Helene. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis announced a $1 million award to the Florida Disaster Fund to support charitable organizations working to support those in need. In the city of Sarasota, storm debris collection crews have begun the pickup process for debris caused by Milton. Our parent company, Gray Media, is teaming up with the Salvation Army for hurricane relief efforts. You can make a financial donation by going to floridastormrelief.org. Just scan that QR code there on your screen and you'll be directed to the right website to donate. It is an issue that is prevalent in many rural communities, including here in eastern Kentucky, the access to fiber optic connection. Rural areas can be underserved when it comes to broadband connection. Factors like terrain and demand impact providers' decisions to lay fiber optic cables. Victoria Ware spoke with a Boyd County woman who says she is in need of better connection.
Nancy Adams lives in Catlettsburg, Kentucky. She is an art teacher.
I've been a teacher for 30 years here in Boyd County.
Her home sits atop a steep hill off Hurricane Road. Nancy has had issues with her internet and phone connectivity for years. Her provider is Windstream. Like so many other rural homes, she doesn't have fiber optic connection, but rather copper DSL. She says that at one point, when she was taking online courses, she would have to go to a fast food place and use their connection. She worries if she would need to call an ambulance or other emergency service if she's in trouble. She says that it's simply not safe for her.
I have to get in my car and drive to the top of the hill in the neighborhood and use my mobile phone to make phone calls, and I've done that for years.
Nancy wants to be able to do work remotely, but she says that her connection simply doesn't support it. Nancy says that her biggest concern is the safety of those in her area.
My first concern is public safety, since there are times when we can't get a phone call out, and then economic degradation because we are unable to work from home if we don't have modern internet beyond DSL.
Nancy is asking for better connectivity so that she can stay in the home and area that she loves.
That was Victoria Ware reporting. Boyd County Administrator Justin Pruitt is in the process of applying for Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD funding, to help get fiber optic connection in rural areas of that county. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, 28% of holiday shoppers are already stressed, according to a new survey. Some tips to help you start shopping without breaking the bank.
And it's Thursday, which means the weekend is just around the corner, and we'll have a sneak peek of the weekend forecast coming up in a few minutes.